vehemently has now become anger. Look at the pranking we do, that people do on a daily basis. That they go as to any length to make sure they prank themselves, or to prank people who they don't even know. What should be a norm has now become outrage. I mean, what should be a norm, like a normal feeling that people should generate, has now become a strategy to get more followers. Has now become a strategy for them to get more likes and more views. And then they move people along all the way, that when the real thing will now happen, people will now be doubting, okay, is it true, is it prank, is it AI or not AI? Because we are beginning to lose our value and our belief system. And attention, I said, has become currency. Outrage has become strategy. And silence is now equal to invisibility. If you are silent, nobody will hear you. Even if you are quiet, nobody is interested in any value you have to offer. For your value to count, you must be able to offer that value in such a way that everybody will see it and they will know it and it will count. If you do it in your room, that is your business. You see, in those days, it happened that when we say that somebody is in the public, the person may have to come to maybe where people are like this. They call it public. For example, now I'm standing in the public, even though we are in the house, but this is a public. Also, it could be that you have to go to the market to make it public, or you have to go to the church to make it public. But today, the definition of public is different. Somebody can be in his room alone and be public. Somebody can be in the toilet alone and be public. I scrolled past a nonsense content on TikTok one day. I saw that guy, he and that girl, they wanted to do something nonsense, and he was closing the door. And I was like, how? That is moral contradiction. You want to do? I don't know. You want to do nonsense at home and you are closing the door. How? The door you close here is meaningless. Because even though you call it private, it's not private, it's everywhere. Because by closing the door, it gives you some sense of privacy. But no, that is contradicting. Because in those days, privacy is when somebody is alone. Because all we are doing here now could be private, even though it's in public. What do I mean? It depends on how viral this thing can go. You can still be making the whole noise in this whole world. You are still private. But somebody will be in his room somewhere and will go what? Public. That is how algorithm has designed this thing, and then it has altered reality. See, when reality is altered, before reality can be altered, man's imagination have to be altered. If you can alter a man's imagination, the first thing he will change is not his morality. The first thing he will change is his action. The first thing he will change rather is his thought. And once a man's thought changes, the next thing that will change is his action. Because people who lose their conscience today did not just wake up one morning and then they said, okay, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I'm going to lose my conscience today. Nobody has ever decided that. It's been eroded into little by little. Little by little. Today, maybe, let's say this is the full length of the lady. Today, it could be a skirt that will reach here. Tomorrow, little by little, the skirt will reach here. The other day, the skirt will reach here. Until there will be no skirt anymore. Little by little. That is it. That is it. Because that lady will not be bold, like his imagination cannot contain it to be bold enough to pull off everything at once. No. But you have to convince yourself to make sure what is looking immoral, logical. When you stop looking at something immoral from the sense of logic, then you are beginning to know that, okay, I'm beginning to derail. That is why we are where we are today. Like the example I cited, he wanted to go live on TikTok to do nonsense, and you are closing the door. Do you see that was what I picked from that place. It's nonsense closing that door. Maybe you feel okay, maybe your neighbor may not see it. That's why you want to close the door, also that they will not see anything. It doesn't matter what they say at that point in time. You are already in public, because people are already seeing it. That is it. That is what is forming our mindset, our belief system, and the world which we live in today. Because attention has become currency. And because attention has become currency now, outrage, normal annoyance, normal emotion has now become strategy. I said this thing some time ago because I had it somewhere that if you cannot enjoy a moment without posting it online, you are broken. You have mental, not mental, like not psychosis, but you have mental problem. No, not psychosis. No, not not. But if you cannot enjoy a moment, you get it, without posting it online to get validation from people, you have mental problem. You are broken. Because people that can make you, that can give you, okay, go girl, that is it. Those same people can break you. Those same people will be the one to, because your confidence is not natural. It doesn't come from your special human ability. It's coming from what you get from those crop of individuals. And they'll tell you, oh no, go and do it. Go and do it. Yes. Show them the stuff you are made of. Go boy, go girl. At that point in time, and you are feeling yes, and that dopamine is secreting. You say yes, yes, and then you too, you went in that energy, in that strength. They'll be giving you that validation. The day they'll say, what is that one? In fact, you better just go and kill yourself, because they were the one that sponsor your confidence. The day they will remove it, you will be without nothing. I was scrolling on social media one day, because of what I do. I try to look at social media to sample it, to see, because most of the time I try to speak to the conscience of my generation. That's what I do. And how do I do it? By changing their mindset, so that we can influence the system. And there's no way you want to speak to their conscience without not knowing what they do. So now, so this guy, I think it was on Twitch. So he came live, and then I think it's about 14 years of age. So it was like, he came live on Twitch. Then another black guy, but he is white, and so another black guy came online, and it was like, hey, what's up, guy? Say, okay, how are you? He said, what do you have for me? He said, because the person that came, that joined the conversation before that guy that just came in, asked him to go and kill himself, and he's already feeling that way. And I'm like, how? I'm like, okay, guy, go and kill yourself. And you are like, I think it's true. But sometimes I'm like, I don't get it. I say, okay, like, okay, once you get to kill yourself, and you now sat down, you're now feeling depressed, like, because of what this guy has said. There's nothing in this life. Just let's end it here. I don't get it. You know why? Because our confidence is not in ourselves. It's not in the works of our hand. It's a borrowed confidence. It's just like somebody borrowing clothes. Now go and slim fit it. They borrow you the confidence. You now wear it based on your own size. So the day the owner of the clothes will come and like, bro, please off it. It's no longer yours. So what should be a normal feeling that I am angry is no more anger. It's now a strategy. What should be with, okay, I love this babe and I want to be with her for the rest of my life. It's no more that feeling. It's now a strategy. People will now say, okay, I want to go into my hotel room now, and then once I get to the hotel room, I'm going to put a camera somewhere. I'm now going to call the waiter to prank him to see if he will want to sleep with me. How? It's because we are losing our sense of morality. That thing that will tell you yes or no, good or bad, up or down, sideways or this way, is no more there. So attention has become a strategy, and then silence has become invisibility. And because of that, people don't even know how to feel anymore. Everybody now wants to perform. Everybody now want to perform. I said something earlier, let me put a disclaimer to it. When I said that if you cannot enjoy a moment without posting it online, you are broken. Now, let me also buttress it a bit. It's not, if you want to enjoy a moment, that you post something online does not always mean you are looking for validation. You get? You can post, if you are posting online for validation, you know. Me, I know. But when you are posting, maybe for the sake of, probably, of course, you have, you know what we had today from, I think, is a show a memo, how to put yourself out there online. It could be for that purpose. Sometimes it could be for, okay, maybe you don't even trust your Google Drive. You say, okay, Facebook, keep this for me, because you know it will be saved there. But if you are posting it online because you want people to know that you have arrived, you want people to know that, okay, me too, I'm moving forward, I'm not behind, you are far behind. So if sometimes you want to take, you can take videos, but let it be that this one, I'm not going to post it until after about 15 years. You want to have a memory, like a flashback that, okay, I want to be able to go back to this video, to go back to this content, to go back to what I've done before, to see how my life has improved over the years. If it is for that reason, no problem. But if it is for the main purpose of getting validation, I think you should reconsider it. Another thing is this: the subtle loss. The loss is not sudden. The loss is not once. It doesn't just happen, probably like a bomb blast. No. No change that is powerful, that is effective, that will change culture, that will change the way people play, the way people walk, the way people love. No culture that will change that will come as a sudden. No, it will come in a very subtle way. And how will it come? It will come by when things that are wrong is becoming a norm. Thing that is wrong to you before is now becoming something usual, something now beginning to have some little cravings for, something now beginning to have crush on. Things you know that are evil is now becoming a little bit normal to you. Have you seen people that will tell you something like work ethics? They will say, okay, like if they are in the church, they can't steal God's money. Is God's money? Is that an offering? Yes. No, they can't touch that in Jesus' name. But in their office, they can steal. Because God in the church, and God is only in the church. At home, God is at work, God is on holiday. So for them to be able to logically convince themselves, they will use a language like this is work ethics. In our workplace, we don't do it. But there are some values that are meant for the church. Like tithe and offering, they pay it every Sunday. And before God and man, they don't touch God's money. Why? It is God's money. But the company's money, no, they can touch that one. Stealing, it doesn't matter where you steal. Stealing is stealing. It doesn't matter who owns the money. Stealing is stealing. Either you do it in the church, or you practicalize it at home, or with your friends, or at the club, or it is still stealing. That you did not steal the one that is meant for God doesn't mean you are God's favorite. Or maybe when God now wants to serve that punishment, oh, now one, he only steal at work. Oh, he doesn't really steal in church. So let's just let him go. It doesn't work that way. So ethics, according to John Maxwell said that, he said ethics compounds. Is a compound thing. If you don't do it in church, you can't do it at work. If you can't do it at home, you can't do it in church. If you don't lie in church, you can't lie at workplace. If you can't lie at workplace, you can't lie in your home. You can't lie whenever you are playing. Because ethics compound. If you are disciplined at home, you are also disciplined at your workplace. If you are disciplined among your friends, you are disciplined even among your foes. Because ethics compound. If honest is your only value or only watchword, ethics at home, honesty at home will be your watchword. At your workplace, it will still be honesty. Not that you are truthful at home, at workplace you are dubious. You are like a dove at home, in your office you are like a serpent. No. Ethics compound. And also, how does the change come subtly? It is when truth becomes flexible. Truth can be flexible. And how does truth become flexible? You know how to make truth flexible so that you will be able to have your way around it. That is not it. You can't make truth flexible. Truth is truth. And somebody will say that truth is the only thing that is always attacked and will still survive its attackers or antagonists. People will always attack truth. But at the end of the day, it will still survive everyone who is trying to attack it. And the third one here is when empathy becomes weakness. When empathy becomes weakness, they believe they are so strong and then they don't have feelings anymore. They believe having feeling makes you weak. They believe you being empathic makes you weak. They believe you being sober or you having a sense of commitment makes you weak. They believe that you committing yourself to just one single relationship makes you weak or makes you abnormal. You need to have them many. You need to try them in every shapes and color and dimensions. No. You need to understand that when your empathy or when you are terming empathy to be weakness, there is something beginning to wrong with you. Little by little, your truth is being tampered with. Your truth is being configured. Your truth is being rewired and reformed. So while we are not intentionally raising a generation that is cruel, however, we are by neglect raising a generation that is cruel. We, like, you don't see it in the library spelled out as, okay, oh, Nigeria say we are raising a generation of cruel young men. We won't put it there. But by neglect, by we neglecting values, neglecting how to train our children, neglecting how to build them, neglecting how to correct them, not watering down the authority of the parents, not watering down the authority of teachers. By we not doing that, or by we watering those things down, watering those values down, we are by neglect building future of children that are full of cruelty, who will become wicked tomorrow. You know, there's this thing online, maybe you've seen it as well, or I think it's on TikTok. You may see how I'm referring to some of these things. It's because I'm seeing them. Now, there's this thing they will do. It's very subtle, but it's not as if I'm the type that sees evil in everything. Not like that. But see, I'm worried about my children. Yes, I'm worried about them. Not because of the fear of me not being able to raise them. By God's grace, I will raise them well. But I don't know how you will raise yours. And they may meet tomorrow. That's my fear. Eh? My dear, yes. I'm worried. Maybe not you, by the way. But you know, like, I'm just trying to... So, by God's grace, I will raise my own. But I'm afraid of you. Because, you know, they say a bad company, good, something corrupt good manner, right? Bad company corrupt good manners. So you see, take a look at this, for example. In that video, this is what they will do. It's about gun. And then there's a way they will make that sound. How they, like, maybe they are trying to act. How somebody will react to being shot. And then they will shoot, as they are shooting with the sound. The baby will be reacting to the sound of the voice, to the sound of the gun. I don't know if you've seen the video. It's as if they want to act. Probably an action movie. And then while they are acting it, they will just be shooting. Like, they will not shoot physically, but it just go with sound. Once they make the shot, like, you try to act the way the sound of the gun came. Now, when we see that, how are we programming those children? We are making them comfortable with guns. We are making them comfortable with such sound. Because these are children. And if it is what we are exposing them to, then we should expect them to do it at some level. At some level to them now, it will not be evil anymore. Because it's what they'll be playing with. If you take a look, for example, your generation and mine, we only play with toy guns. Look at what we have turned to. Now, they are not playing with toy guns. The real guns on their phone, on TikTok. Imagine what they will turn to. That is just my fear. So, it means that we are not intentionally building children that will be cruel or young adults that will be cruel, but by neglect, we are beginning to build such generation because not that people are evil, even though people are evil, but the problem is not that people are evil. The problem is that people are uninformed, and a mind that is uninformed can easily be programmed. Any child can be programmed if the mind is not informed. Any child can be programmed if the mind is not informed. The third one is the Hitler's lesson. If you look at the life of Hitler and what he planned to do, this was him. Hitler did not only understand power, he understood beyond power. He said that he needs a youth or a generation of young people who he will teach how to not to have conscience, how to be merciless, and how to be without restraint. That is, to be without moral boundaries. That was his goal. The guy understands something much more than power. He understands something much more than skill. He understands the power of formation. I was reading a book written by an Israeli about the Holocaust. In that book, this was what they said, that if they are going to kill, probably they loaded some Jew in a truck, young, adult, old, whatever. As they put them in that truck, as they are going to wherever they are going to, when they get there, they will need to kill them first before probably they give them the mass burial. That is, these are the ones who will not be gassed. The ones who will be gassed, they don't even need to shoot anybody. Once they bring them into that room, of course, just like you have your shower at home, there's shower slide stuff everywhere. As soon as they are there, they lock the room, and then somebody from anywhere will just press the button, and then the gas will start falling down on them. As it's falling down, they are inhaling it, they are beginning to die. But the ones who probably they are far from that gas station, or they are far from where they can be gassed, those ones will be killed. And this is how the killing is done. If there are two drivers, or if there are maybe two drivers and the other people too, maybe people who are like the patrol officers in quote, or the escort following the truck. Once they get there, each of the military personnel that follows the truck will make sure they kill at least somebody. Which means that probably there are about 50 people. Officer Woos will go to about 10 of them, kill them, give the gun to the next person. Probably, the next person with his own gun. Look at about 10 of them to kill all of them. Go to the next person to. Every one of them will make sure they partake in the killing of those Jews. And after then, they are being put together and then they are given a mass burial. What is he doing here? He's giving them a formation. Because he said that he want to have a generation that is without conscience, that is without mercy, and that is without restraint, no moral boundary. And how will he do that? You have to be able to catch them young. As soon as you are able to hold a gun, once you see an Israeli gun the person down, formation, building the hatred, killing their conscience little by little. It's not like a classroom where you will sit them down and then open their biology textbook, teaching them how to kill conscience. No, by doing, by their action, by what they see him do, and by what he tells them, because he has replaced their conscience with ideology. And what's the ideology? Any person you see with a thick lip, with a set of thick lips, with a very big nose, is a Jew. Let the person die. He has replaced their conscience with ideology, which means you cannot ask, is it right anymore? The next question is, what can we do? What must we do? And there is something about man's imagination. I've said it here before that imagination is not static. If a child successfully killed five Jews today, tomorrow he wants to kill 7, another day 8, another day 7, until everywhere becomes wild. So he has replaced their conscience with ideology. He has replaced empathy with loyalty. They are loyal to him. They are loyal to that cause. And because you have killed people once too, you say, okay, of course, you have killed, so just continue killing. So you want to make sure every one of them is a partaker of that killing, so that you both will have that guilty conscience. And at some level, you will kill to a level that conscience will disappear. That's what his goal, because he wants to raise a generation that is void of conscience, that is merciless, and that is without restraint. And also he replaced their thought with obedience to higher power. If you have ever watched where this man is talking before, like where he's speaking before, he speaks with authority, he speaks with power, he speaks with vigor, like he speaks with every fiber he has in him, he speaks with it. And then he was able to convince them. He didn't just convince farmers or illiterate, he convinced the engineers, the scientists, and people in that cadre to make sure they danced after his tune. What was his aim? He wants to have a generation that is void of conscience, a generation that is without mercy, a generation that is without restraint. Hence, he gave the world a generation that didn't ask, is this right? But a generation that is asking, what is required? And what is required there is that just get a gun and then kill anybody you want to kill. Now, look at the mirror today that we have in our own generation. Look at where we are today. Nobody is dictating us. Nobody is forcing you to do it. But today we see ourselves softly doing it little by little. Little by little. Today we do not have an Adolf Hitler somewhere who is telling you, once you see this person, kill the person. Once you see this other one, rape the person. But softly in our books, in our movies, in some of the things we do, we put those things in there to indoctrinate each other until our sense of morality is lost. So the system is not completely controlling us today, but what is in complete control of our lives is our addiction. Addiction to a particular set of behavior, addiction to a particular set of character, and addiction to some things that we feel we are in need of, which on a larger scale we are not in need of. So let us look at the mirror. And the thing is that if you look at each other today, the question is, how many opinions do you hold which you have never examined? How many opinions do you hold in which you have never examined? Take, for example, all men has come. An average lady believes that all men has come. Have you examined that? But you believed it because they've been saying it. And some people will say that. Some people will say that if for your marriage to be peaceful, your husband or your wife must know your password, and you also must not check their phone. We are beginning to believe it. They said it. It sounds logical to you, and then you are beginning to believe it. And then you are now beginning to have a marriage where transparency is not really the key anymore. So how many things have you been told? How many school of thought have you been told? And you don't even understand it, but then you believe it. Because everyone believes it. Because everyone is doing it doesn't make it right. That something is logical doesn't make it lawful. It could be logical to you, it doesn't make it lawful. Because all things are expedient, all things are not lawful. And all things could be lawful, all things are not expedient. Also, how many times have we chosen to stay silent when truth is not convenient? You know that this thing you have to speak out. But speaking out at that point in time is not convenient, so you have to shut it. Take, for example, during my final year in school then, we were writing that final year, our last paper in school. And I'm a believer of no cheating in the exam board. That's my own belief. That's my own belief from the first time. So while we are there, in fact, that morning I was terribly sick. I didn't read for the paper. Up to now, I didn't read it for it. And by God's grace, I didn't carry it because I can't afford to carry that course. If it were to be a course that doesn't have calculation, I can consider let's just do it and then. But I don't like calculation, so I was like, let us just make sure we don't fail this one. So now, at the exam hall, I was terribly sick, but I was able to drag myself to the exam hall. So I was sitting at one corner somewhere. So there are these guys. One of them was here. Those big boys in the class now. One was here. Since it's a faculty course, so they are not from my department. Because if they are from my department, they will have known me. So it's a faculty course. So one of them was here, one was here. So while we were writing, so one called me, was like I should try to bend my paper so he can actually copy. I looked at him, I continued writing. Because even me myself, I was struggling because I didn't prepare for it. Now you want to copy my struggle. Okay. I continue with it. Now this other one called me. I didn't answer him. After the whole thing, but of course they kept on disturbing, but I didn't say anything and I didn't do anything. No compromise. Then I submitted and I went out. Now one day after I was now perfect by health, that day I was going somewhere. After exam, people will go home, but there are still some people around, and then which means almost every corner is quiet. So as soon as I was approaching, I was seeing some 3 guys. They were looking familiar, kind of. But I don't know where I have maybe met them before, know them, but I kept moving. And if people are coming this way, normally you want to, of course, come this way so that they can pass. But these ones, as I'm trying to give them way, they were going like this. As I tried to go this way, of course, go this way, they were coming. I said, okay, let's see what we have here. And then while I came close, I said, oh, I saw his face, I knew him. And then I think he said in Yoruba that, oh, he was making feel that I was the cause of his failure. At that point, it was a hot afternoon. Everywhere was quiet. I didn't speak back, but I was standing there with my hat in my hand. So, but of course, they were saying some things, threatening. Their voice were loud. I just stayed there. I didn't say anything. I didn't beg for my life. But then, I know 2 things will happen. Number 1, they won't kill me. Number 2, they will beat me up. And the 3 things. Number 1, they won't kill me. Number 2, they will beat me up. Number 3, they will let me go. So while I was standing there, they were raging. 3 3 guys hefty, but at some point one was like Eshile Ejekumalo, which means like because they were close, it was like open, let him go. That was how I carried myself, and I moved from that place. What I'm trying to say is this: see, sometimes speaking truth or doing right, it has never been convenient. It has never been convenient. It is not convenient. It will never be convenient. But you must choose where you want to stand. Sometimes they will bring to you, okay, can you just help us fill this form, and then just sign there, and you are seeing the heading of that paper, FRF, Financial Requisition Form. You are not asking, okay, what is this money for? But you just signed it, or the since you will not collect the money, you just signed it so that they can just take their wala and go. You're already in it. Because if FRF must come, FRF means a Financial Requisition Form for companies that use it. If FRF must come to your table, because you are signing on it, you must know where is the money going to before you append your signature. But because you don't want trouble, and because you are a lover of peace, you are a pacifier, like, okay, no worry, just let us sign, at least they will not share the money with me. No. You must be able to speak up the truth, even when it is not convenient. Also, how many things do we support because they are trending? How many things have we supported because they are how many challenge have we done even when your value system says no, we don't do this one? See, sometimes they are not necessarily evil or bad, but your value does not align with something, and because your value does not align with it, you don't have to do it. It is not necessarily evil. In fact, sometimes they are not evil, but your value as a person does not align with some things, and because your value does not align with it, you don't do it. Because before the bigger compromise will come, you have to compromise little by little, and then you are feeling okay with it. You can move on, you can move ahead. The day the big one will come, you will give yourself reasons and excuse why that one too doesn't really mean. And finally, I come to what makes us truly human. Look at all the problems I've stated, from generation to generation, from dispensation to dispensation, from the things we have seen, from the ones we have not seen, and then from the one that is coming that we don't even know. Before then, I'll tell you this. See, the era at which we stop children from watching pornography has gone. This is not to say that children must watch pornography. No, I'm not saying that, but just follow me. The era at which we stop children from watching it has gone. What parents need to do, what teachers need to do now is to prepare them against the first day they will watch it. Because you will not be there, your phone will be with them, they are doing homework with it, and then they will go to TikTok live with somebody somewhere, and then they will go to somebody on Twitch, and then they will go to one Facebook, and then one advertisement will pop up. See, one day, I don't, up till now, I don't explain to that woman what happened. My pastor asked me to transfer something to his phone, so I was using Zenda to transfer the documents to his phone. You know, when you on Zenda, they will run this 3 seconds advertisement, and that ad, you have to wait for maybe 3 or 10 seconds before you skip it, which means once it start running, you can't skip it. We were in the church at the back of the control post. When I on my Zenda and my pastor's Zenda, my own phone, they were running one bad advertisement there. I can't pause it. It was when the thing started playing that the woman came in. She looked at me. I looked at her. I was looking at it. I didn't know how to start explaining that. Actually, it's no. But it was like a very tight corner. She was looking at the video. She looked at me. She looked at the 2 phones. So, okay. She left. But I didn't go after to go and explain because I don't know what to tell her. I'm not that type who will start explaining. Say no, the Zenda, you have to run. I just left the whole thing. So sometimes such thing could happen to your child, not because they are looking for it. They may want to send something from their daddy's phone to your own phone as a mother, or from their mommy phone to daddy's phone, maybe to use it because you are busy. And at that point, they will just on the 2 Zenda, and boom, life will show up. At that point in time, what will you do? For that thing not to register, the sex education you've taught them before is the first thing that will be able to counter with that thing. But if you've not given them any education about that thing before, their imagination, their sense of imagination will heighten, and they want to see more. You will not see them trying to be, you will not see them wanting to send something to sender almost every day, hoping that that thing will pop up one day, because their mind is looking for something. And if it doesn't pop up another time, the day it will pop up again, they won't skip it, they want to watch it. So the era with which we tell children, don't watch pornography, that era has gone. What we need to teach them now is to prepare them against the first day they will see it. Because even while you are driving your car, the billboard there, the advertising shaving stick with a naked woman, how would the child align? Your standing fan, I bought fan one day, I was looking as a fan. Oxo, what is this? Fan. So you can see, it is not okay, the era of thou shalt not has gone. Prepare them against the first day, that unguardedness will want to come up. Because if it comes up, if there is nothing inside them, inside their database to tell them no, this like you will see it, but this and this you must do, this and that you must do. If there is no data like that in their brain to counter what they will see, their sense of imagination will begin to heighten. And because they are human, they want to see more because they've not seen it before. And it can be seductive and amusing, and they will want to see it the more. So, like I said, we have come to what makes us truly human. In one of my previous speeches, I discussed extensively what makes us human, or what it means to be human. But let us look at one or two things again that makes us human. Now, to be human is not just to be able to think. No. Even goats thinks. Because to be human is not just to think. Animals think. Because when your dog sees you, he knows you are sad, he knows you are happy. How did he know? He has read you and he has thought about it. But okay, my boss, my lord, does not always appear this way. And because he's appearing this way today, it means probably he's sad. Then they come around and then they cuddle around you. They are thinking too. You ask, and then maybe you see a goat eating something somewhere awful. You send it away. They will come back. Why did they come back? Because they thought you are no more there. Thinking. So animals too, they think. Human beings too. So thinking is not just what makes us human. But we must be able to discern. We must be able to choose. We must be able to stand. You discern. You choose what you have discerned. And then you stand on what you have chosen. You must be able to discern. You must be able to choose. And then you must be able to discern. Because a human being with intelligence, but no conscience, and no power for restraint, and no influence on himself, is not an advanced man, is a dangerous man. A human being who can think, who is intelligent, but without power to restrain himself, is not an advanced man, is without mercy. Is not an advanced man, is without conscience, is not an advanced man, is a very dangerous man. Because this generation, I believe, we are not lost. Of course, we are not lost. We are not lost. But if care is not taken, we are at the risk of raising and developing another dangerous and cruel generation who, in the words of Adolf Hitler, will be without restraint, will be without conscience, and will be without mercy. So the future belongs to those who can think, who can discern, who can choose, and who can stand on what they have chosen. So like I said one more time, finally, on a final note, that this generation is not lost. We still have hope. We still have a lot of hope. But then, the hope is in us. Not to stop speaking out. Not to stop correcting. Not to stop speaking against evil. Speaking against wrong. Because when evil is not spoken against, after some time, it will become normalized. And when evil is normalized, we may be doubting it in this generation, but by the time we will give birth to children, they won't know it is evil anymore. To them, evil will become a lifestyle. So for that not to be, remember, what makes us human? We must be able to discern. We must be able to choose. We must be able to stand. You discern before you choose. And because you have chosen what you have discerned, then you'll be able to stand on what you have chosen. You'll be able to say, okay, I have thought about this thing, and this is my own conclusion. Because you are a thinking human being. Animals cannot discern. Animals cannot stand for long. Animals need correction. Horses have to be controlled. They have to be beaten. They have to put stuff in their mouth to control them. We human being has a will. We must be able to master that will. We must be able to tailor the will towards the right direction. So as I bring all these things to a close, ladies and gentlemen, I've spoke about what it means to be human. I spoke about how the world is forming us. I spoke about the subtle loss of ourselves, of our humanity. I've spoke about the Hitler's lesson, where the man understands that we have to form behavior in people, not just to teach them, but to form it, not just to bring all of them together, maybe by power, by force, by coercion, no. But he knows how to shape people's behavior by teaching them what to do, by replacing their conscience with ideology, by replacing their empathy with loyalty, and by replacing their thoughts with obedience. That was what the man did. That was the Hitler's theory. He replaced every of their ideology, every of their thought pattern, every of their obedience and loyalty, and they became what he wanted them to be. A generation that is without restraint, that is without mercy, that is without conscience. It's a very terrible one. And may this generation not get to that part. So having said this, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to pass on the mic to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful speech. Thank you so much. We've learnt a lot. And this brings me to my topic of today. Today I'll be talking about decision, the making of great or gullible men. Decision, the making of great or gullible men. At some point in our lives, even right now, where we're seated, in the course of today, our mindset, we've had these sections, these patterns of choosing. We've had the stops in between to think on the next course of action. I would ask this general question. Have you ever been on the move before, like you've been in transit before, and for some reasons, either you get a notification from the person you're going to meet, or you get a message, or you get a call, and that makes you, or that made you stop on your track just to reflect on your next course of action? Is it just one person that has experienced this? I would ask again. Have you been in transit, and while you're headed, you were perfectly sure you know where you were going to, but for some reasons, because of the notification you got or the call you got, you had to stop on your track to think of your next course of action? You've experienced this before. Can I see your hand? Just two persons. Just two? Okay. Thank you very much. So, a practical example, I'm a teacher on the move as often as I can be, because I do more of home tutoring for the children I take. Before leaving the house, I had planned my day, but in between the line, I can get a call, either a WhatsApp call or a normal regular call, and then I'm like, oh my God, why did this woman, or why did this client not tell me that she would not be around? I had left the house already. A practical one was, I reached out to the client 1 hour before the class, and I told her, ma, I'm on my way to yours. But in the morning, prior to that time, in the morning, I had reached out to the client that, oh, I would be at your doorstep by 5 p.m. And she acknowledged the first message. And by 4 p.m., I reached out to her again, telling her, oh, I am on my way already to yours. Do you know that halfway to her house, she called me and said, oh, Miss Abigail, I'm sorry, the house is now fully crowded. Please, can you go back? And I was waiting inside the bus. I had to tell the driver, please stop me at the next bus stop. Let me calm down. Now, I'm trying to paint this picture to us because as often as we can, we make decisions. And these decisions we make, sometimes these decisions are right on the spot. We have to choose between what to do next and what we've planned out before. while making decisions, we have options, we have choices. Sometimes it can just be the yes and no choice. Sometimes it can be the multiple choice. And when we get to that point, what follows, what comes next, we are the bearer of the what comes next. The outcome of these decisions, we are the bearer. We are the one in charge. We make the choice and we go with the consequence. We go with the action. We go with whatever comes as the outcome. Now, I teach children, and it just dawned on me recently, and why it dawned on me was because my two students they brought it to my knowledge. So there is something I do in class. I call it the act of negotiation. And why I call it the act of negotiation is because I'm not a rigid kind of teacher. I'm as dynamic as can be. I give my learners room to make choices, but then I'm the facilitator. I get to decide which choice, even in quotes, if I give them the room to make their choices, I still decide which choice goes first on a scale of preference. But they brought it to my attention this week when something happened in class. I have two learners, I take them for 2 hours. One child goes first for 1 hour. When I'm done with the first child, the second child comes in. But they stay around just in case I would need anything from any of them. And while I was taking one, I was done with one and I was taking the last child. In the middle of the class, she ran off to the parlor. And I saw that it's like her attention has really shifted from my direction. What did I do? I gave her 2 options, and these are my options. I said, the class is remaining 15 minutes. If you come to have the class now, after 15 minutes, Miss Abigail will go. But if you keep staying in where you are, if you keep doing what you're doing, Miss Abigail will take the class over to 25 minutes. And before I count 5 seconds, she had left the parlor and she was already on the dining where we usually have the class. But after making that 2 options, I told her the ball is in your court. That was where the whole issue with the brother came in. And they were like, Miss Abigail, you will say you're giving us options. You want us to choose. You want us to make this decision. But after you've given us the option, you will say the ball is in your court. The ball is not in our court. The ball is not in our court. And I was smiling. I have to be smart with these children, because sometimes they can go overboard and override me. Or like the previous teacher once said, they can go overboard just to override, just to have their way with the teacher. But I had to be smart. But while I'm bringing this to our knowledge is because there are options that have consequences. And in choosing these options is where decision comes in play. Decision comes in play. Which brings me to the topic of today. Decision, the making of great or gullible men. And when I say men, I'm not just talking about a particular gender. I'm using it for both the female and the male, the lady, the gentleman, the man, the woman. We've had great speeches over the last couple of days. Great, amazing speakers teaching or speaking about infrastructure. We've just heard of the speaker I took the podium from. He spoke intensively about what he has seen as an individual and how we can better shape our life as a youngster. But then the ball lies in our court, because we are the one to make that decision. We are the one to make the decision that will either make us great or make us gullible. We've heard a speaker spoke about strategies for making A students. You can hear all the strategies, You can get all the key points. You can even hear the pain points. You can hear the solutions after the pain points. But then the ball lies in your court by choosing which path or which choice to go through. It is a thing to hear. It is another thing to do. It is in the doing or it is in the hearing that this decision, in quotes, comes into play. Decision is a conscious act of choosing a path with full awareness. You are aware. You are aware. There's this statement I always make to all my learners. There is always an action. There is always a consequence to every action. And sometimes I interchange it. There is always an action to every consequence. Just like saying there is a cause and effect for a particular thing to happen. Just like an action. You give the action, you get the reaction. When you give that action, you get the reaction. And whatever follows, you are the one. You are the one responsible in bearing the action. Like I said, that decision is a conscious act of choosing. You're aware of what you're choosing. You're aware of what you are going into. That every choice carries consequences. The choice you make in becoming the great man is you are the one. You are the one to make that choice, and the consequence of making that choice follows. The choice you make in being a gullible man, you are the one. Nobody bears it for you. The choices of my father, he alone bears it. The regrets, the goodness, whatever follows in his youth, what he would have done better. Sometimes he says, oh, this is where I would have been if I had made this choice. Or this is where I would have been if I had listened to that person. This is what my life would have been. He made his choice. I, as the daughter or the children, we can only learn from that choices and make our choice. And in making our choice is where the decision comes in play. Like I said, you can learn and hear all the best speeches that can be. But in doing it, you make the choice because the ball is in your court. It's like taking a camel to the river and pushing it there. And when the camel is there, the camel chooses if he will drink the water or not. You can only drag, even when you know this camel has not drank water for days, you can only drag it there, but you cannot force the water in its mouth. I have a pet. There are days where we know that she has not eaten in the morning. We give her food, and it's her choice. She will look at the food sometimes and she will walk away. We cannot force the food down her throat. It's not possible. We can only do our best as human. Same thing. We are the one in charge of our destiny. We are the one in charge. Your parents can only do their bidding from a particular age to a particular age. But then there is a time where you have to make your own choice. In the good book, it says, and men will stand. They will stand before the great white throne, and every man will give account. You will be judged according to what you've done. The same thing applies. When you're faced with these different options, you can either choose if, oh, this decision I'm going for, these options in front of me, should it be one that would make me great, or would it be one that will make me gullible? The ball is in our court. Every decision we make is either moving us forward to become a great person or a gullible person. For every decision we make, right now, right here, where, and I said decision is just the little choices that comes to mind. It is either you say, oh, I want to stand up to get this water, or you say, oh, let me sit down for a while, or oh, let me count first. to see if the numbers are complete. Oh, the numbers are not complete. Let me see. These are choices. You have a lot of choices. You have options. But then you make the decision because there is a consequence that follows this decision. What makes a person great? Or what attributes, what qualities should we look out for that makes a person great? Number one, we have discipline. Discipline is uncomfortable. Nobody will tell you that discipline is sweet. You make the choice to be that A student, then you are willing, you should be ready as L to go after it day by day with discipline. Discipline, not half-hearted discipline, but with full force, with tenacity. Is it by reading your books? Is it by giving your all? Is it by burning the midnight candle? Is it as going as far as reading the proposal again and again? Or is it as far as for that interview you're prepared again and again? This is discipline. This is what shapes a person's life. This is one attribute you have to look out for. This is one attribute you have to be ready and willing to commit to. You want to change your life? You want to be great? Then you don't have to sleep on discipline. You have to be ready to work day and night. Burn the midnight candle if you must. Read the book, the life-changing books, if you must. And discipline is not sweet, like I said. Discipline is not sweet because only you know what you are after. Only you know what you are after. If I see myself as being great, I see myself as this thing. The next person, I may tell the person, oh, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. They may not understand. But then it takes discipline for me to keep going even when the world do not understand me. It takes discipline. It takes tenacity. It takes all the willful power it is in me to keep going. That's in me, rather, to keep going. Another attribute we should also look out for is consistency. I'm a big follower for consistency. So I remember telling myself that, oh, my agency, they've been ripping me off. I think I need to put myself out there. I need to go for the bag. I need to go for the gold. I need to go for the money. Let me put myself out there. Let my clients, my prospective clients, see me for who I am. Let me build something for myself. Mind you, I am not a social media person. I think last year I didn't post anything from January up to November. But in the space of this month, somebody had to call me and say, so you've blocked me from viewing your status. And I was like, I've not posted anything. That's why you've not seen anything on my status. Not because I blocked you. I don't even have the time to block anybody. But it is because I've not posted anything on my status. Now, when I had the change of mind that I needed to be out there, I needed people to see me for who I am and what I can offer, my credibility, I started consistently. Would I let you know that since November, since the day I started with one post and I kept going again and again and again. I think I flopped last month from November. I flopped last month because my phone spoiled twice in the month of March. Yeah, in the month of March last month. My phone spoiled twice at different intervals. But all I'm trying to say is consistency is one attribute that we should not relegate in being that great person we want to be. If you are disciplined enough, you've seen the goal you want to go after, you've seen the bag, you've seen the diamond, you see whatever you're trying to pursue. Don't start today and sleep tomorrow. Don't sleep the next day and start up again. No, that's you not building your brand. That's you not being consistent. You have to be consistent. You have to keep going again and again. That is where discipline also comes in consistency. Okay, so I'm a piano teacher, and I remember last month there was a particular piece I really wanted to learn, and it was so difficult for me. And my schedule is, while I'm working, I'm also schooling. There are a series of programs I do every day. My work officially starts by 11 a.m. in the morning, but then before the 11 a.m. I have classes from 9 a.m. to 10:30 every day before I finally go for the day's activity. So that will leave me no chance in learning my piece. Would I let you know that after the day's activity, I would come home and still make sure I touch my piano for at least 20 minutes every day? After sitting down in the bus for like 2 hours because of the traffic, because like I said, I go homeschooling, so I go from a location to another location, and on, just keep going till the day is over, or till my itinerary for that day is over. Then when I'm coming back home, I sit in the bus sometimes for 3 hours. I sit in the bus, but I make sure that even when I am tired and I am stressed, I must still go to the piano to play for 20 minutes. That's consistency. What other attributes should we look at? Resilience. Rising after failure. That you've tried it before does not mean you should keep yourself down. That's not the attributes of a great man. That you've done it before does not mean you should wallow in that pitfall you've been in before. You have to rise up. You have to be resilient. You have to take the bull by the horn and keep going. That is one quality that you must have, one attribute that you must have in the journey of becoming great. Don't relax. Don't relent. Don't give in. You can take a break. My mentor would say something: Abigail, what you face right now, you can cry about it, but the process you're undergoing right now is something that would so shape your mind to the point where even when unfortunate things happen, even when challenges come, even when there are major difficulties, you would not see yourself wallowing in that challenge for too long. What would shape your mind is the fact that you want the what next. The what next syndrome will fill your mind. It will fill your mind to the point where you are not just thinking of the failure. You're thinking of how best can I come out from it? How best can I arise from it? How best can I find my footing and just keep going? Resilience. No great man, no great woman, no man, no woman who has achieved one thing or the other in life, who has made name for themselves, no man will tell you that they haven't failed before. No man will tell you that. I was speaking to, I call her Mama now because she's now a very, very dear woman to me. Although how we met was really funny. And in the funny moments, I worked for her while I was in uni, my uni days. I worked in her school. And I was sharing my experience with her. There was a particular phase I was in my life. So I was sharing my experience with her, and she told me that, Abigail, I have failed again and again. She was able to relate with what I was trying to say because she had experienced what I was telling her, and she was able to give me not just soothing words, she was able to give me pointers that will help me in my next phase. So resilience, regardless of the failures, keep going. Number one attribute I said is discipline. Number 2, consistency. Number 3, resilience. Number 4, focus. In the world, there are a lot of devices. And sometimes you can be intimidated by your peers or by the society, the pressure. When you hear somebody saying, oh, I'm doing AI, I'm learning AI, and you're like, oh, he's learning AI, I think I need to learn AI too. Then you hear another person say, oh, I'm learning music, music is pain, you're doing music too. There's a particular client that we had in my place of work, that my previous place of work. I don't know why I keep saying my place of work, my previous place of work. The dad or the family, the parents bombard that child is a good thing, but there was no breathing space, or there is no breathing space for that child. The boy is into coding, is into music, is into acrobatics, is into, like, you need to mention a lot. He doesn't have breathing space. Only, and this boy is not up to 14. No, he's not even up to 13. But only him is doing a lot. It's good, but at the same time there is a downside to it, because there are times where he's like, he's tired, his head is full, his head is my colleague will go to his house and he'll be like, please, can you give me like 20 minutes to rest, or can you give me like 5 minutes, 10 minutes to rest, so that my head can really relax. That's how bad it is. So at least I feel I'll be a parent tomorrow. I feel at least there should be a time frame, there should be a span, a structure, that a child can learn a particular skill at this particular time of their life, then move on to another, not be clouding the child with a whole lot. This brings me to the attributes of being a great man. Focus. Because A is doing it does not mean you should do it. Because B is doing that thing does not mean you should do it. At least focus on what you are doing at that point and get something tangible from it. I usually tell my learners that anything worth doing is worth doing well. That you go into it means at least on a scale of 1 to 10, you should come out 6%, 7%. Don't just go in and go out without getting anything tangible. That's not right. That's not good. We have responsibility. Be responsible. Don't shift blame. Do not shift blame. Again and again, we keep hearing this on this podium. Do not shift blame. Be ready to take responsibility. This is one attribute of making a great man. That you're ready to take responsibility shows how far you would go. That you're ready to take responsibility means that you will not be a gullible man, but you will be a great man, being shaped by a good mindset that will take you far, that will take you to greater heights. Responsibility. That something has happened and you're not just saying, it's not me, it's Titi, it's not me, it's Lola, but you are quick to point. You're quick to lay your hands on the next person. You're quick to remove yourself from that scenario. That's not an attribute of a great man. Irresponsibility is part of a gullible man. And if you must be great, you must stand in the gap of responsibility. Then we have vision. A man that doesn't know where he is headed is going nowhere. A man, a woman, a girl, a boy that doesn't know where he is headed is going nowhere. It's just like dressing up in the morning and leaving your house with no destination in mind. You will trek for a long time, you will trek for a long time, or you will just go places for a long time. If you're not taking, you will get lost. Vision is key. Vision is key. Then we also have integrity. Integrity. Doing right even when it is unseen. The last speaker spoke intensively about integrity. Doing right when it is unseen. Nobody have to even applaud you. It's not necessary. For your conscience sake, nobody need to even see it, but that you can stand. Integrity is not like a thing of, it is when it is comfortable for me, or it is when it is favorable for me, I would show how far I have integrity in me. No. Integrity will cost you. It will cost you. In my uni days, this is my practice state. I know how many times I got hateful comments from my colleagues. I know how many times hateful comments. I know how many times I got it. I was insulted many, many, many times for it. But it's something I stood for. It was something I stood for. So integrity, when people see you, when people do not see you, have that integrity. And should I let you know that integrity is even what people see? You're not just credible, but your integrity should be intact, that when people hear about you, your stand is still your stand. There is nothing changing. That is the attribute that qualifies or that makes a great man. The attribute that makes a great man: we have responsibility, we have integrity, we have vision, we have focus, we have resilience, we have dedication, we have discipline, consistency, and on it goes. Now, what should be that drive? What should be that propelling force? What should shape on your mindset? Because something must happen to a man for that man to be able to make that about turn. Something must happen. It's just like going on the road, and while you're going, because you don't know the road and you just keep going following the Google map, and at some point you found out that you are in the middle of nowhere. You have to go back, you have to en route so that you can get to your destination. So what should really make you, or what should be that propelling force that should make you want to rethink the decision of doing right, of being great and not being gullible? What can spark up that decision in you? We have deep hunger for more. That you're not ready to settle for less. That you know that you have more inside of you. That you know that the you right now is destined for more. I think I wrote on Women's Day, I wrote a very long speech that I posted. That we are destined for more. That right inside of us, we have more to give. We have not just the little that we see right now, that there is something, a talent or talents deep down in us that the world is waiting for. When you start having this mindset, the mindset of more, you won't see yourself less. You won't see yourself as a gullible man or a gullible woman. That you can give more, you can achieve more. That for people that come around you, you are not just what they see. You are a light that would show them the path that they should go, the path that, okay, so I remember, I think in 2024, 2024, yeah, I made a decision. I took my journal one day, and I sat down. I was like, Abigail, like, what do you really want out of life? Like, what do you really want out of life? And I started writing, and I wrote a lot. And there is something that still stuck with me, or yes, that for anybody that comes to me, they should leave me better than when they came. That has been my driving force. And even in my classroom, I have gotten referrals again and again. I'm even the one like telling parents that, oh ma, I'm so sorry, I don't know where I will put your child. Like, my week is already booked. Even the only time I have is very slim on Sunday. I work from Monday to Saturday, and sometimes on Sunday. That I am destined for more. When you have this mindset, it shifts everything. It changes everything. That's a growth mindset, and that's what makes a great man a great man. What other mindset, or what should spark the greatness in us? Refusal to settle for mediocrity. Refusal, that you are refusing it, even if you are born in the lowest ladder of life. Refusal to settle for mediocrity. I don't know this guy's name. There's something he used to do. He's an American guy. He walks to these big CEOs of companies and he interviews them. I think 1 minute clip. He just begs for either 30 seconds or 1 minute of their time, and he interviews them. And I was seeing all the reads he had done. And most of the question he asks this CEO is, were you born into wealth? And most times the answer is always no, 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 no. So, but what changed? What changed is that these people that he keeps interviewing again and again refused to be a mediocre. They refused it. It's like saying, put on this and you're bluntly saying no. You're saying no. You're not the one saying no. You're indecisive. Oh, no. Should I put it? Should I not put it? Or should I refuse mediocrity? Should I not refuse it? No, this is not a choice you have to make. This is you standing firm that no, no, no. I am refusing to be small. I am refusing to be a mediocre. This decision is what sparks, or is what lights the greatness in us. Exposure to better possibilities is another aspect we should look out for. Exposure to better possibilities. I usually tell my sisters, especially when I go for my jobs and it's time to just do catch up in the house, I will always tell them, see, this house that you're seeing, this 4 corner, there are a lot out there. If you limit yourself to this house that you're seeing, you're on your own. There are a lot of possibilities out there. Because you right now you're not given the privilege, or you've not met with these possibilities, doesn't mean that these possibilities are not out there waiting for you or yearning for you. So we have to have better possibility mindset. We have to be exposed to this mindset. We should stop limiting ourselves. We should not downgrade ourselves. We should not think small. We should rather think big. What can spark our greatness? Pain, failures, past struggles. Pain. The pain of wanting more and not having more. This can spark your greatness. The struggle you've experienced. The fact that you had to do things that were not befitting. I remember in school, my uni days, I think I've always been this go-getter. I had, if I can count, about 5 jobs when I was in school. In the morning, I'll go for my knitting job on Saturday because I was learning knitting. I'll go for knitting. Then That's when there is no school. But if there is school, I'll go to work first in the morning, close by 2. From 2, I'll go to my knitting job. From my knitting job, when it's in the evening, then I will go to all my home lessons. What I'm trying to say is the struggle can spark the greatness inside of us. That you are where you are now and you are struggling to pay for that thing that you so desire, that you so need, should spark the greatness inside of you. I often tell my siblings that what my parents could not give us, like what my mom, what my dad could not give us, the essentials of life, what they could not give us, I want to break it in my own lineage. I want to be able to stand, to be able to give my children the best of everything. This is the struggle I experience, or I have experienced. And this is me making that decision that I should be the middleman wanting to stop that struggle. This is my spark. This is what ignites me. This is what fuels my hunger for me to get to the height, the vision. I see the vision. You see the vision. You know where you are going to. You see it. It is high time for you to use your environment as a ladder for getting the best out of life. We also see strong sense of purpose. Strong sense of purpose. That I am not here to just mark the attendance and go. That I am here to fulfill purpose. And the purpose I am here to fulfill, it can only be fulfilled by me and me alone. It's occurred to me that I am not just a teacher. I am one that can impart my classes or my lessons to my students and they understand it. And even if they don't understand it, I try to enroute, I try to make it simple for them. And at the end of the class, after asking them, how was today's class on a scale of 1 to 10? How can you rate today's class? They don't just give me 10 most of the time. They give me numbers that I cannot even sometimes imagine. I'm asking myself, oh wow, Abigail, you've done it again. But I got that mindset and that shift after listening to Les Brown. And there is a particular quote he made of himself because he had his own situation back then of being a radio presenter. And the first day he was given the opportunity, and the opportunity came by chance. The first day he was given that opportunity, he used his own coined out speech or words. Then I told myself, Abigail, if Les Brown can use these words, and you like these words so much, how well can you coin your own out? Then I sat down, I looked at mine, and I did mine. And what did I write out as my own words? I said, look out, this is Miss Girl, A Square Ariame Abigail, your action attentive tutor. There were some before me, there will be some after me, but none like me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only, young, certified, bona fide, indubitably qualified to give your words a whole lot of action. Look out, I'm your beloved tutor. After sitting down, and when I'm leaving for my class, I say that to myself, that there are more teachers out there. There are some before me, there will still be some after me, but there will be none like me. And because there will be none like me, has always shift my mindset. It has shifted my mindset to the point where I know that as I'm going for this particular class for today, there is something I need to achieve in this class. And until I achieve it for that particular class, then will Abigail rest. Because there will be some like me. There will be some after me rather. There were some before me, but there will be none like me. There will be none like Abigail. And because there will be none like Abigail, this is my purpose. So yes, you have to look for your purpose. Stay in your purpose. merge with your purpose, believe in your purpose. Nobody was born to be a non-entity or a mediocre. Nobody was born to be that. So you have the decision to choose the spark that would make you great. But while you're choosing this spark, the reality is that there will be challenges. There is no great thing that doesn't come with its challenge. There is no better thing that doesn't come with the challenge, with its challenge. What will that challenge be? That will be loneliness. It was in this the conference that Funke Akindele was involved in, and she gave a short breakdown of her life. She said while she was making her films, there were lonely days to the point that even people, even in the industry, the movie industry, spoke ill about her. Like, oh, the ill things, the mean things they said to her. If she was not a visionaire, if she was not one that was ready to close her ears and run with her vision and be focused while running with her vision, she would have given up. So yes, one major challenge you will face while attempting to be great is that there will be lonely days. Days where only you will toil the road. Days where only you would even sometimes question the whole idea of becoming great. Days where you would want to give up, but you would not give in. Lonely days that would make you cry. Sometimes you would wet the pillow all by yourself with no one watching. They are lonely days. This is a major challenge. But would you give up? No. Would you give in? No. Should you scale up? Yes. Should you go higher? Yes. That should be your mindset. There will be criticism and hatred. No good thing, I say it again, no good thing becomes good without criticism. I think it was Dr. Paul Eneche that said, when you want to be great, I think if he asked a question first, he said, do we want to be great? And we answered yes. And he said, if you want to be great, be ready to face criticism. Be ready to face hatred. Be ready. Be ready to face the criticism, because criticism will come. Just like the last speaker that said the guy and another guy were in a live, is it Twitch or something? And the person that came up before the person that he was recently talking to on that app told him he should kill himself. And he said, if you like killing himself, you will be criticized. Hateful things will be said to you. But you have to have the balls and the courage to let it go, let it slide, and keep moving regardless of what you face, regardless of what people would say, regardless of the criticism. And one thing with criticism is that it's like a stone. When the stone keeps coming to you, rather than throwing it all out, you can use it to create that masterpiece you've envisioned. You can use it to create that idea, use it to build that idea you so want. So if a criticism comes, or if the hatred words come, filter it. How can you improve yourself? That is the growth mindset. How can I use this word to improve myself? How can I do better in myself? When you have this mindset, it becomes easy. So the challenge becomes a stepping stone for you to walk on. It becomes a stony yet rosy path to work on. We also have discipline fatigue. It will come when there are days you will be so tired. Days you'll be so tired of doing the hard things. It will come. The discipline fatigue will come. It will come knocking silently. It will come. Sometimes it will come like a little whisper. It will come like a loud noise. It will come. But you have to keep going regardless. And these are days you can also be merciful to yourself. I can still remember that on those days where I had to play for 20 minutes, there are times where I will be so tired I'd rather play for 20 minutes. I will play for 10 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes. But the goal is that I touch my piano. That is the goal. The goal is not just the time per se. Yes, the time is also good, is a good factor. But at least the goal is I must touch my piano, that there will be no day that will come in that particular time where I had to learn that piece that I would not touch my piano. So when that discipline fatigue comes, look for a way around it. Don't just let it sweep you under the carpet. Look for a way around it. What about sacrifice? When you will have to give up a particular thing just to get what you need. There are people I have not spoken to for a long time. Not because they are bad. Not because they are bad, no. But because they are like a light dimmer. That when you're ready to tell them that next big thing you're thinking about, rather than helping you fan the flame and make the fire go wide, no, they are ready to quench it. They are ready to say that hurtful thing that would sink you if care is not taken. So these are sacrifices you have to make. The people you have to cut, not because they are bad, like I said, but because it is necessary. Not because they are bad, not because they are evil, not because they do not want your progress. They could be your loved ones. Not because they do not want your progress. They do want your progress. They are looking out for you. But at the same time, these are sacrifices you have to make. What about delayed results? That you're putting in the effort again and again, and it looks like, oh, where am I even headed? Where am I even headed? But should I let you know that rice can take maximum, let's say, give or take 20, 25, 30 minutes. But beans can take longer time. These foods are foods. These two items, they are foods. But it's just that one will take a shorter time, or like saying Indomie and beans. One will take a shorter time to be prepared. Another will take a longer time. These are foods. But the time frame, the delayed results will always be there. But know that something good will come out from it. As you keep going in patience, as you keep going in consistency, as you keep going in resilience, as you keep going in taking responsibilities, the results will be delayed. But then, because the focus is there, because the mindset is there, because you see where you are headed, even when it looks blurry, because you keep going, even when the results are delayed, you will get there. So these are major challenges. These are major challenges. But what about the reward in making a great man? After you've sailed through the stormy sea, after you've sailed and you've walked on that stony road, after you've gone for the flower, the rose flower that has its thorns, after you've done that, what are the rewards that follows? There are a lot of rewards. And regret is not part of the reward. That you should know. In making decisions that will make you a great man, regret is not part of the reward. It's not part of the outcome. You get the fulfillment. In getting the fulfillment, It's just like Apostle Paul in the good book that says, I have finished my course. I have run the race. I have finished my course. For somebody to say, I have run the race and I have finished my course, that's to say you're like beating your chest and you are so sure of it. I think I said something in one of my speech that I love a situation whereby at the end of the month, I get to look back at all the activities and say to myself, Abigail, you deserve the salary for this month. That is just my mindset. So yes, the fulfillment it brings after you've made that right decision, the fulfillment it brings cannot be exchanged for any other thing. What about the freedom? We have freedom. Freedom of going to anywhere you need to go to in the world. Freedom of purchasing what you need to purchase. I was speaking to somebody, and I think I've said it before, that I want a situation whereby when my children ask me for a particular thing, I am not saying no to that demand because I do not have the money or I cannot purchase it. But I am saying no because there is a lesson that needs to be learned from that particular outcome or that discussion. In saying no does not mean that I do not know what I am doing, but rather there is something I need to teach them at that particular time. That's incidental learning. What about the gullible man? I gave 2 illustrations and I said, while making your decision, there will be choices. And the choices you make, or the choices that may present itself, can be based on circumstances. It can be based on community or cultural base or conviction, whatever your choices may be. However, the spread out choices you see and you face, there is something that must still stand, and that is decision. When you make that decision, you fall in 2 places. You're either going for the great man position or you're going for the gullible man position. We've talked about the great man, we've talked about the attributes, we've talked about what sparks the greatness in a man. We've talked about the reward, we've talked about the major challenges. What about the gullible man? What makes a gullible man a gullible man? We understand that they are easily influenced. A gullible man is easily influenced. That the man cannot make the decisions he is meant to make. My younger sister came to my room one of the days and she was like, Abigail, I want to do this particular thing. And I was like, okay, go for it. We've discussed and we've come to a conclusion. But then again, she met me the next day and she changed her mind again and said this is what she wants to do. I think in the evening of that particular day, she changed her mind again and said this is what she wants to do. I was just like, you know what? Please sit down. Think of what you want to do. When you've think deeply, when you've had a good thought of what you really want to do and what you really want, then you can come to me. Then we can talk about it again. I'm not saying she's a gullible person. That's by the way. But all I'm saying is, in making decisions, the gullible man, these characteristics that a gullible man is placed under is one, they are easily influenced. Easily influenced by what? By peers, by devices, by talks. Your peer says this particular thing is a trendy thing, you jump on it. You've not even done your findings. Meanwhile, your focus was maybe academics, but they say, oh, it's content creating, or content creation rather, you jump to content creation. Oh, okay, it is copywriting, you jump to copywriting. Oh no, now it is dance and acrobatic. Oh, you move to dance and acrobatic. Oh, now it is code. No, not being easily influenced. But then it is sad to say that easily influenced is one of the attributes that creates or makes the gullible man. We also have no clear direction. No clear direction. That they do not know where they are going to. No clear direction. Not having an idea of what you want. No clear direction is dangerous. But at least there should be something that sparks in you. There is something that you should be willing to try out. Something that you think about. Something that you are restless about. Something that fuels the hunger. This should be your drive. But if you see that there is no clear direction, somebody is asking you, okay, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Or let's just say 2 years. You say, I don't know. Why won't you? Why shouldn't you? No clear direction. We also have emotion-driven decisions. They don't think about the facts. They just go with their emotion because they are sad. Their sadness robs off their emotion. Because they are happy, their happiness robs off their decision. Because they are angry, their anger robs off their emotion. No. These are all attributes of a gullible man. You should be able to adjust your emotions and think with facts. Think with logic. Don't think based on emotion. They are inconsistent. These are attributes of a gullible man. Inconsistency. Jumping from one thing to another. Today they are copywriting. Tomorrow they are a marketer. The next day they are a banker. The next day they are doing POS. They are just going round in circle. The next day, oh, I'm building something. Oh, no. Inconsistency. They start today. They stop tomorrow. They start the next day. They don't continue again for like 2 weeks, 1 month, and then they start. Nobody will take anyone serious. Nobody will take you serious. Inconsistency. We also see that they avoid responsibilities. They avoid responsibilities. The gullible man avoids responsibility. You're quick to say, no, I'm not the one. You're quick to mention names. You are quick to come out from that situation. They avoid responsibility. They also choose comfort rather than growth. I said earlier that growth is not always comfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. Growth shifts you totally from your comfort zone. Growth is not favorable, but they are quick to remain in their comfort zone. They are quick, they relax in their comfort zone. They are not ready to change that mindset. Even when others are complaining about it, they are not ready to change the mindset. They just want to be there. And should I let you know that they make up excuses? I would always say, I usually tell myself this, especially when procrastination wants to set in, that excuses sounds best to the man, to the woman, to the girl, to the boy that is making up the excuse. Excuses sounds best to the boy, to the girl, to the man, to the woman, to the lady, to the gentleman that is making up the excuse. So rather than make up excuses, rather than avoid things that would push you out of your comfort zone, just take it head on. Growth is not always easy. Growth is not always sweet. but the outcome of growth is something pleasurable. It is something to back on. Your feeling would not get you anywhere, but the outcome of consistency, of persistence, will take you far. What are the factors that produce a gullible man? What do you think produce a gullible man? Lack of self-awareness. How can somebody lack self-awareness? There are still a lot of people that are still under this category, mind you. Lack of self-awareness. That you don't know who you are. For the fact that you don't even know that you are extraordinary. Yes, we are ordinary. We are all ordinary. But then there is something that makes you different from your siblings. There is something that makes you different from your colleagues. There is something different. If you can have this mindset that there is just something in you that makes me different from every other person seated in this room, or there is something that is in me that makes me different from every other person in my family, then that mindset will take you far. Lack of self-awareness. Lack of self-awareness. There are a lot that is embedded in us. There are a lot that God has placed in us, each and every one of us. We are not here like a flower vase, just sitting in a spot. That's not the idea. We are not here for people to just window shop. They will just check and they will go without purchasing that item. No, that is not why we are here. We are here to do something great and dynamic. We are here to do something great and dynamic. But then it has to start from a thought, a mindset. And what is the mindset? The mindset that the gullible man have is lack of self-awareness. And that is what? Now you have to check inward. Do I have self-awareness that there are things that come my way, and am I ready to give it my best shot, or I am ready to make up excuses for it? Lack of self-awareness. I believe every human can be stretched, though we have a break point anyways, but at least before we get to that break point, we can be stretched. And sometimes, or most times, we don't know what we have till we are pushed out of our comfort zone. I think there was this particular clip I watched, and I think it was also said that it was a real life story. That is he an 80 years old woman or a 70 years old woman? I can't really remember the exact age right now. That the granddaughter, was it the car fell on the granddaughter or was about to fall on the granddaughter, and she lifted up the car until help came. She lifted up the car until help came. So all I'm trying to say that there is something right inside of us until we are ready to push the limit, until we are ready to go for it, until we are ready to change the rigid mindset we have, until we're ready to change that mindset that has always limited us, then we won't see the light. So lack of self-awareness is also a factor. It's also a factor that produces a gullible man. What about desire for quick success? Shortcut is no cut. Shortcut is not the quickest route to success. It may be, or it may look like it is, but it is not. There is no shortcut. For every man, every woman you interview that has made it big in life, they didn't say, oh, I did this, and in the space of 1 year or 6 months, the money started coming or flowing. No. There's a place of scrutiny. There's a place of self-doubt. There is a place where they had to toil again and again. There is a place where people did not even believe in their dream. There's a place where they even had to doubt what they were going for. There's a place where they had to go back to the drawing board. There's a place where they had to rethink their thoughts again and again, re-strategizing and coming up with the what next, and coming up with better solution, better idea that will make their plan come to light. Desire for quick success is one factor that produces a gullible man. You want to be a great man. Wealth does not come at the snap of our finger. Wealth does not come because we wish wealth. Wealth starts from the mindset. It starts from the mindset. It starts from that great idea. It keeps going on and on in action, in doing again and again, in consistency, in resilience, in taking responsibilities, and on and on and on it goes. It keeps going till the outcome eventually comes into limelight. What about fear of standing alone? Some people are so gullible to the point that they have to seek for validation before they do a particular thing. You have that brilliant idea, but you're waiting. Let me talk to mommy first. And if mommy say yes, I should go, I will go. If mommy say no, I should not go, I will not go. If sister say no, I should not go, I will not. They have this fear of standing alone. There are times, like I said, in one of the major challenge of a great man, in making a great man, there are times or there are days for making that sacrifice that will cost you friends. And because you have no friends at that particular stage of your life, it can bring loneliness. The fear of standing alone should not be something you should cloud yourself in. Fear of standing alone is another factor that produces a gullible man. What about following the crowd blindly? Because everybody is going to the south, you would go to the south. Without conviction, without reasoning, you will go to the south. Because everybody is going to the east, you will go to the east. Without conviction, without reasoning, you've not solved that. Okay, why is everybody... I remember something in secondary school. We were going home one day. And while we were going home, we came out from the school gate. And while we came out from the school gate, we saw people running. We just saw people running, and we don't know what happened. Because we just came out from the school gate, we started running too. And we were running and running and running and running. Not until we had to stop. I had to stop and, sorry, please, and ask somebody, like, what's really happening? What's really happening? It was just breeze that was blowing at some particular point that made everybody scared. And we had run miles away. But I had to stop and say, why are we even running? There should be a place of you standing and rethinking decisions. Okay, because Chinedu is going into coding. Is coding my passion? Is it coding I want to do? What do I really want to do? Where does my passion lie? What do I really want to do with my life? What is my purpose? Rather than following the crowd, think of what you really want. Now, when the fear of standing alone is eradicated drastically from the taproot, then the idea of following the crowd will also be limited. Then you are standing and you are making that decision for yourself based on conviction. There are two things here. That the decision you make should not be because of the crowd, but it should be because of that conviction you have towards that particular thing. What other factors do we have? No clear values or vision. You have no clear values, no values whatsoever. What keeps you? Your values, what you stand for, what you can die for, what you live for, what you live by. No clear values, no integrity, nothing attached to. I think I heard this statement growing up: a good name is better than silver and riches. But now, honestly, the world we live in now, I'm not sure that statement still stands. I doubt it still stands. I doubt, because some people would rather they would rather keep the money than return it. No clear values. The money that was seen that does not belong to you, they would rather keep it for themselves and say, oh, now God do am for me today. I don dey suffer since. This one na my luck. No. No clear values. These are factors that produces a gullible man. No clear values, no vision. You don't know where you are going to. That's still like following the crowd. I will recap. Lack of self-awareness. We have desire for quick riches. Fear of standing alone, following the crowd. No clear values, no vision. Now, when we choose the factors that makes a gullible man, is there consequence? Because before I started my speech, I said that in life there is always a cause and effect, a action that produces a reaction. That there must be something. When you make that decision to go through this direction, then be ready for the consequence that follows. When you say, oh, I'm putting this water on fire, there is Gary, be ready to take the outcome or the results of recreating or reproducing eba. But when you say, oh, I have soup, but I don't have eba, if I use cold water on the Gary, it should also recreate eba. It does not work like that. There is a sure method that once you follow that method, then you will get the outcome. So in life, when you make that choice and you make that decision of being a gullible man, then there is consequence. What are the consequences? Missed opportunities. The fear of standing alone. That you have that brilliant idea, but you are too afraid. What will mommy say? What will Chinedu say? Me and Chinedu, we've been in this thing for a very long time. What if I go south now, and we said we're going to go west? If I go south, he may not like it. Fear of standing alone. And where you are going to, there are better opportunities, and these are things you want, and this is your purpose. But because of the fear of standing alone, you missed on that opportunity. Or should I say, because there are no clear vision, no clear value, you don't know where you are going to at all, the opportunity will knock at your door and it will leave without even you knowing sometimes. I remember singing a particular song as a match-in song in secondary school. Opportunity once lost can never be regained. Do not waste your golden time, for the day is drawing near. You may find that opportunity, but then it takes the grace of God. It takes the grace of God. Missed opportunities because you, instead of being the great man, instead of making choices that would put you on the pathway of becoming great, you rather choose that because you don't want the uncomfortability. Because you don't want the stress that comes with going through that path. Rather, you're not ready to pay the price of becoming great, then you go through the gullible path, which is not good. Then we have wasted time. What are you on earth to do? There are times where when I'm walking on the road or I bought buses, I get to see people and I'm like, God, what did this man or what did this woman use her youthful age to do? There are old women you see on, not that I'm spiting anybody, disclaimer, but there are people you see on the road and all you have in mind is some prayers that, God, what happened? You are even asking questions sometimes. For me, I'm like, God, please, I just channel it as a prayer point to my life and to my parents. And God, please, before my parents get to this particular age, please let my hustle pay so that I can take them off the street. I can give them at least the necessity of life. But then, wasted time. The only thing that cannot be regained is yesterday. No matter how you recreate it, yesterday is gone. It cannot come back. We can have 12 p.m., we can have 1 p.m., we can have 2 p.m., we can have 3 p.m. again and again recreating itself. But it cannot be the 12 p.m. of yesterday. 1 p.m. of today or 1 a.m. of today cannot be the 1 a.m. of today and cannot be the 1 p.m. of yesterday. So all I'm trying to say is we have the time. We have the time to choose. We have that decisions just right in front of us. We just only need to make the choice. And that choice comes in different consequences. But then, the decision we make, are we ready to go for it? And even if you're ready to go for it, make the right decision that will lead you to greatness. What price do the gullible man pay? Living below potential. Living below potential. How do they live below potential? That they are supposed to be on the global stage, but because they did not cross the I, dot the I and cross the T appropriately, or at the particular time they were supposed to dot the I and cross the T, then they start from the local stage, living below potential. That at some point, at the age of 50, at least they should be okay, financially okay. But because they did not make the right decision, what happened? They start living below their potential. What about frustration and blame? They begin to blame everybody. They blame people, or they even take it to the latest one, village people. Village people, they are after their case. Village people, they are after their case. Frustration. Frustration. A frustrated man. You don't want to live with a frustrated man, honestly. When a frustrated man pours his frustration on you, who was you that is not the cause of that particular thing they are frustrated about, can be disastrous. All I'm trying to say is this: we have decisions to make. The decision we make is not just one decision for the rest of the day. We make decisions on a daily basis. As the time keeps ticking, as the day keeps going, the decisions we make, the choices that is spread in front of us, can either take us one step forward to being the great man or the great woman we want to be, or take us one step closer or forward to the gullible man or the gullible woman we are not ready to face just yet. Decision is the doorway. Greatness walks through it. Decision is the doorway. Greatness will always walk through it, and gullibility will walk past it. Greatness will walk through the doorway if we choose greatness and we choose all the attributes that is assigned to greatness. When you don't choose your path, someone else will choose it for you. When you do not choose your path, trust me, life will choose it for you. Someone else will choose it for you. that idea you're still sleeping on because, oh, I don't want to make myself uncomfortable just yet. Someone else will choose that path for you. Someone else will go for that idea. I will close with this. A great person makes decisions based on purpose. A gullible person makes decisions based on pressure. A great person chooses discipline. A great person will always choose discipline, but a gullible person will choose comfort. A great person loves intentionality. A gullible person loves accidentality or accidentally. I will say that again. A great person loves and lives intentionally, but a gullible person loves and lives accidentally. Greatness is not a gift, it is a decision. And every day, through your choices, you are becoming something. Greatness is not a gift, it is a decision. And every day, you choose or you make that choice, you're becoming something. The question you should daily ask yourself is, are you becoming great or you're becoming gullible? The choice is right in front of you, and the ball is in your court. Like I will always tell my students, though they think that statement is always unfair to them, however the case, the ball will definitely be in your court. The choice right in front of you. I wish and I pray to see you make that decision that will make you a great man, a great woman, and not a gullible man or a gullible woman. So with this, I'll pass the mic to the next speaker.
Come down now. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Gabriel, and today, or tonight rather, I'll be speaking on the rights of transboundary people. Not transgender people, transboundary people. Now, how many of us here have ever lived on a border? Maybe state by state, or community by community, or country by country. Has anyone lived by a border? Exactly, I'm expecting, I'm doing this topic for you especially, so I don't know why it's not raising your hand. So, my good friend Ayo here lives semi-border, right? I know, don't worry. So essentially you find yourself straddling between Nigeria and Benin Republic. Yes. Are you aware that you face a dilemma about what rights you're actually subjected to? Exactly. So I'm here to shed a bit of light on that. So transboundary communities, which have transboundary peoples, are groups of individuals who share a common cultural, spiritual, livelihood, and or familiar ties that bind them to the territory of two or more countries, states, or regions. The location of these ties requires that these transboundary people frequently cross international borders or regional borders to exercise their cultural, spiritual, and livelihood rights. Some examples of popular transboundary communities are the Irish border, the Abyei area border between Sudan and South Sudan, in between the line of the control dividing the Pakistani and Indian administered Kashmir, the Kurdish areas between Syria, Turkey, Iraq, and Iran, the Eritrean and Yemeni Red Sea coastal areas, and in West Africa, popularly known as the semi-border where Ayo resides. These are some of the popular, transboundary communities. There's also a very particular place in Belgium and Netherlands. I don't know if anybody has ever come across a picture of a man standing literally in Netherlands and Belgium at the same time. Because The boundary between Netherlands and Belgium is literally an interlocking line. There's a house that was there, but there's an interlocking line in the middle. It is known as the Bale-Hertog or Bale-Nassau area. I don't know if I butchered the pronunciation, but so it's between Belgium and Netherlands. There exists a gross legal gap between the people who live in these communities. This is because the international law recognizes this concept as vertical, citizen versus state, and it recognizes human rights as horizontal, state versus state, on the subject of state sovereignty. But ironically and funnily enough, transboundary rights fall awkwardly between these two categories. The irony and the demystification of geography is that, in as much as that boundary is international, if we look deep into it, we find out that it's really local and communal. If it takes me 2 minutes from Badagry to go to Cotonou, for instance, I'm not saying that's the accurate time. As someone living in Lekki or living in VI, to you, when you hear Benin, Cotonou, you're like, oh, that's another country, that's another nation entirely. But to someone living in Badagry, he sees that Benin as his local community. Now, there is no actual provisions for people with for rights of people in transboundary regions, but they face a lot of struggles. The first one being access and use. These are the rights that should exist, but they don't actually exist. The right to cross a border in the first place, to reach a sacred site, a place of work, to see family, carry out fishing or farming activities, is hindered. This is the foundational basis of the topic today. Now, imagine a situation where a family lives on the Seme border, but there are no markets in Nigeria for them to buy food, and they have to cross over to Benin to buy food. Now, I have to bring to your attention that there are some nutritional facts and ingredients that NAFDAC regulates in certain quantities that are legal in Nigeria but illegal in Benin, and vice versa. There are some that are illegal in Benin, there are some that are illegal in Nigeria but legal in Benin. So let's just, for instance, Ayo, as a family man, you give birth to a child and you want to buy Cerelac for your child. Now, where you live, there are no markets, so you have to cross over to Cotonou to buy Cerelac. Now imagine an instance where the sugar content in Cerelac in Benin is 8.0 grams, but the sugar content in Nigeria is 6.3 grams. Bringing that Cerelac from Benin to Nigeria is already contraband because it's above the regulated, nutritional provision. So these are some of the struggles transboundary people go through. How will a mother feed her child? Is she supposed to carry the child all the way to Benin, feed him there, bring him back, feed him here, take him there, feed him here? Because of this legal gap, it is only right that the international bodies like the United Nations creates a law that accommodates transboundary people. Another right which exists for transboundary people are property and territorial rights. Now, we have a case that was overseen by the Inter-American Court in Argentina, reiterating that someone can have proprietary rights to a land but not be from that country. There were over 132 indigenous communities in Paraguay and Bolivia that had land in Argentina. And the Inter-American Court gave those communities in Paraguay and Bolivia full interest and rights to those lands. This is the beginning of something fruitful in the aspect of protecting the rights of transboundary people. But in the inverse, we have another situation where a case-by-case analysis will show you that not everybody would follow the precedents of the Inter-American courts. We have the case of a man who is a native of the Colville tribe of Washington in the United States, who crossed the border of Washington to go to Canada, where he carried on a hunting expedition. Now, apparently, the Canadian courts charged him to court saying he did not have a hunting license. And he was trying to explain that he's a transboundary resident. He did not see anything wrong in it. He was simply going to hunt. Now, the argument from him was, my family rather, existed before you geographically drew your borders. So why is the law protecting the borders and not the people? Alluding back to that area in Netherlands and Belgium where you can literally stand 2 feet apart and you're in both countries at the same time. I mentioned that there was a house there. I think it's a library. I've forgotten the name. So that building has always been in existence before that border was drawn. So do you want to tell the occupants or the landlord of that building that you have to now choose what country you lay your allegiance to, whether it's Netherlands or Belgium? Because the sparking debate in this topic is when a case of transboundary rights or the enforcement of transboundary rights come to court or arbitration out of courts, they usually look at who are they? Who are they actually indigenous to? It's a battle of proving your indigenuity and not exactly your location. An author known as Harum Mokia suggested that the proper logic to be installed in adjudicating over cases like this is to check for where they are first and not who they are. Because imagine people that live in transboundary regions. There's no hospital in your location. You have to cross over to Canada. Or in the US-Mexico border, you have to cross over. A Mexican family has to cross over to the US to give birth to their child. Now, both by descent and by birth, that child is a citizen. So the dilemma of making him go through what country he would pledge his allegiance to before you enforce his transboundary rights is inherently inhumane. We should be looking at their location first and not who they believe they are indigenous to or who they prefer they want to be identified as. We also have the natural resource consultation. Now, interestingly enough, transboundary communities have an emerging claim to be consulted when natural resources in their cross-border territories are exploited. This remains the least developed right in practice, however, but cases that have come up show that it is also progressing, just like the caribou populations between Canada and Alaska. So these populations have been able to claim proprietary rights over natural resources in another country while being from another country for the mere fact that they are transboundary. Now, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People in Article 36 has acknowledged that borders may divide indigenous people and obligating states have to cooperate. Even though there has not been any enforceable endeavor from the United Nations, they have beckoned on other agencies and stakeholders and custom and border patrols to make the borders more porous and more accessible to people who straddle in and out of countries. Another instance I would like to use is the Bajigo people of Guinea-Bissau. Now, Guinea-Bissau is bordering Senegal, I believe, to the north. So let's imagine, for hypothesis sake, a family in Senegal, maybe of the Wolof tribe or the Mandinka tribe, and they border the Bajigo people of Guinea-Bissau. And due to some of the reasons I've mentioned, and them being transboundary people, they straddle between both Guinea-Bissau and Senegal. Now, the Bajigo people of Guinea-Bissau have a very misogynistic and uncomfortable custom where if a young man dies, and he has not yet fulfilled his purpose in life, his sister has to assume his identity till he lives up to the age grade that he will be seen to have fulfilled his objective in life. If he usually dies at a young age, so they will just assume that he has not yet achieved his purpose in life. So what happens is they carry out a ritual rite known as the Fodana rites, where the sister adorns a costume like a masquerade. She wears horns, wears clothes, takes on the male relatives' names, she practically lives his life. And this can go on for years, till the elders are satisfied that this male relative that died before his time has achieved his full potential. Exactly. That's why I said it's misogynistic. Now imagine you're a family that borders this tribe, and you find out that they have a custom as harmful as this. But because of the concept of transboundary rights not being clear enough, there has not been enough clarity shed on it. You find yourself at an uncomfortable position of being subject to a custom like this. Perhaps you are the only daughter. Now you have to be a surrogate for a dead person's identity, just so he can ancestrally achieve his purpose. This is why transboundary people need more protection. Now, going further, we have the bigger arguments of self-determination, like I've mentioned in one of my previous speeches. Transboundary people also are at a disadvantage when it comes to self-determination, because you begin to ask yourself, who am I really? Do I actually have the right to enforce my right to self-determination or self-realization? If you're across a community that likes fishing, but you straddle within a community that likes farming, it creates inadvertently a certain level of identity crisis. Am I a fisher or a farmer? But you go in and out of those territories, and it affects your right to self-determination. It affects your right to dream autonomously as an individual. Most of the time, we find transboundary people having the highest rate of identity crisis. There's a place in Borno in Nigeria called Boga. I don't know if it's a tribe or just a place. That place, that tribe is literally one gutter away from Chad. Like one gutter away from Chad. And all the markets in that region are in Chad. So for instance, if there's a circular from NAFDAC or SON that this particular product is now harmful to Nigerians in Nigeria, but that's their only access to food at that point in time, does that not create a dilemma of their daily rights to feed, or that even their daily rights to move? Because you have to understand that at these borders, there are patrol officers on land, customs officers that see these landed borders. So by the time they are bringing in this food or this item, they are trying to cross back to the border. They're like, oh, what's in your bag? And like, oh, is this? But you know, this is not acceptable in Nigeria. But like, that's the only thing I have access to. It's easier for me to go to another country than go to island and buy something. Do you get? That's the way the distance, the nuance of distance is demystified. when you're on the island and you hear, oh, someone is going to Benin, you're like looking at flight hours, booking tickets. But for people like Ayo in Badagry, it's like a 10 minutes walk for them. So the geographical distance has been demystified, but it also creates a problem. We look at alluding to the speech that Mr. Ismail said again about how the local consumption of rice had to be protected, so they banned importation of foreign rice. But then again, a lot of, border crossings would make rice smuggled, would make them smuggle rice back into Nigeria, mostly from Thailand and other parts of Asia. Now, how would you want to explain that narrative in a sympathetic form to someone that is a transboundary person, when that appears to be his only access to rice? But you're telling him, no, you can't bring this rice in because it's contraband here. So how do you expect him to eat? These are the issues, one of the many issues that transboundary people face. Transboundary people also would have an issue if they ever have any political aspirations. As different countries have different laws, different jurisdictions have different rules. There are some countries where if you're a dual citizen, or if you have a likelihood to be a dual citizen, you have to denounce one of your countries before you can come out for any political position in a particular country. That's not the case for Nigeria, however, but some jurisdictions apply that law, because they have to protect themselves against the possibility that one day you might betray them or you might commit treason against them. Especially when those two countries are one that always are loggerheads in their ideologies, like let's say US and Canada. You not often find a Canadian born or a Canadian by descent person do successful in the US political field, and vice versa. Because one day they could be like, this guy could sell our secrets or could trade our secrets or confidential information about the country to this other country. So let us amend our constitution to make sure that if you want to come out for president of Canada or prime minister of Canada or mayor of a certain province in Canada, you have a US or you have a dual citizenship, you have to denounce said citizenship and pledge your total and full allegiance to that. This also hinders their right to self-determination. Because what do you mean, I cannot become who I want to be, I cannot become a leader, I cannot rule my community, I cannot rule my town? Because most times, the identity of someone is in living and not necessarily who they really are. For instance, someone can be Igbo but live in the southwest all his life, and that's all he knows to be his reality. Achebe wrote the same thing about Gowon. That Gowon was a Christian. A lot of people think Gowon is outside, but Gowon is actually from Jos. He's from the Middle Belt. But because he grew up in Kaduna, it was almost like he was institutionalized to be an Hausa man. He dressed like the Hausas. He spoke Hausa. He spoke Hausa slangs. He ate Hausa food. So anybody that sees Gowon will be like, hey, this guy is Hausa. But he's not. He's a Christian from Jos. Funny enough. So these are the issues or the identity crisis or the right to self-determination obstacles that transboundary people might face. It even went as far as Ojukwu referring to him in the English iteration of his name, Yakubu, being Jack. So, Yakubu is actually Jacob, but Jack, they shall had their way to discuss. So, essentially, you being a transboundary person, for instance, if Ayo one day starts to love the Benin culture and the Benin people, and he finds a wife there, and he now wants to contest for governor of his state, or he wants to, I don't know the system they use, or he wants to come out for president, he will have to ask himself the silent question: do I denounce Nigeria where I was born and go with where I love, or where the opportunities are better for me? So your right to self-determination and self-realization is hindered as a transboundary person. And there is still no international law protection for rights like this. Thank you. So these are many more pose obstacles which transboundary people face. And there's very little literature on this topic as well. There are very little laws that back up this topic as well. It is argued that international law should capture the beauty of individual autonomy, where each transboundary person gets a UN recognized declaration form stating who they want their allegiance to be to, and if they want to live by dual allegiance. Like I said, in Nigeria, dual citizenship is not a disqualification if you want to contest for presidency. So there are some laws or some jurisdictions that have less strict rules and some have stricter rules. But the general idea is to make the borders more porous and accessible, and also make the laws more lenient to cater for these people, as they face a lot of problems. I mean, we have not even talked about insecurity. Imagine being in Borno, in the tribe of Boga, one gutter away from Chad. We know the kind of rumors, anyway, allegedly, that happen in Chad. They smuggle a lot of arms, they smuggle a lot of hard drugs. Allegedly, they say that's where most bandits are based, and that's why they come into Nigeria. Imagine being the first recipient or the first receiver of insecurity. The stray bullet is hitting you from another country. These people face real life issues and real life troubles. It is only needed and necessary that every stakeholder, and by stakeholder I mean everybody in this room here today, does more research on transboundary people and their rights and how we could protect them. Just because I stay on the border of a country does not mean I cannot straddle into another country and go fishing or go to my place of work. Are you going to limit my right to livelihood? Are you going to limit my right to freedom? Or are you going to limit my right to self-realization and self-determination? Why should my dreams be cut short because of my geographical location? The proprietary rights of ownership and self-determination should not only transcend geographical nuances or geographical location, but should also reflect in the letters of the law. In concluding, I would like to indulge you and reiterate my earlier stance for us to be more sensitive and more aware with the reality that transboundary people face in the enforcement of their rights. A lot of identity crises, livelihood obstacles, and right to self-determination, which is one of the United Nations most important rights, is greatly mad. We should play our parts, particularly you, Ayo. I'm sorry, I know I've mentioned you like 14 times just to get your attention. When next you cross the Seme border, ask yourself, what are you illegally bringing back into Nigeria? Ask yourself what you might be unknowingly smuggling back into Nigeria. Because there's only an extent to which your rights as a transboundary resident can be protected. There is no framework, legal framework that protects you now. But hopefully, in the future, there will be. Thank you very much for the audience. I'll be passing on the mic to the next speaker, WTO Director.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Gabriel, Barrister Gabriel. I have a very intriguing topic to talk about today, and it's going to raise some level of curiosity, inquisitiveness, and all of that, right? So I'll be talking about the Asian tigers. The Asian tigers, right? And I remember mentioning that to somebody this afternoon. Be like, tiger. Tigers, how? You know, why are you talking about tiger? The Asian tigers. But when we talk about the Asian tigers, it's relatively directed to the economy, right? It's relatively directed to the economy. The Asian tigers is not just a report, but a story of economic resilience, right? So it's a very beautiful topic, one that will bring out conversations So let's lay focus to it. We already have a tough day. When we talk about economic resilience, those are persons that they have faced a lot. These are countries that, as a result of the Second World War, like it's what we call poverty. And when you talk about the Asian tigers, you must also mention the economic miracle. We're coming to that. You must mention the economic miracle, right? Because it's observed that these countries, when we talk about the Asian tigers, the tigers referred to as countries. These countries suffered a lot as a result of war, poverty trapped in, and a whole lot of that. There were cases. Now, it is notable that there was a historic transformation between 1960s and 1990s relating to 30s and 40s, right? Now, the Asian tigers, when we mention the Asian tigers, it is notable for these 4 countries, right? These Asian tigers. We have Hong Kong, we have Singapore, we have South Korea, and we have Taiwan. There's something very magnificent about these Asian tigers. And their story is this. They suffered so much, right? To the extent that they were left without anything, and what they looked up to was just innovation. But then, in 1977, we are still giving out the history of the Asian tigers before we start talking about what they achieved. In the year 1977, there was a massive economic download. You understand? Or what we call downcry or attack that hit the Asian markets. And their currency crashed. A lot of persons said, oh, they can never be back, everything has scattered for them, and a whole lot of that. But guess what? There was a rebound from that economic download in the year 1977 when they all crashed because they faced a huge financial crisis. Right? And now, what was this rebound? Instead of giving up, they pivoted again. They realized they couldn't just be factories, but they had to be innovators. These persons went fully into innovation. And it was as a result of innovation, we give them the name the Asian tigers. Because why are they called the Asian tigers? These are persons that suffered from poor economic systems to profitable ones. These are countries that are now world class. And now, as we have mentioned the 4 Asian tigers, Hong Kong, Singapore, and South Korea, and Taiwan, we have to look at what economic practices these Asian tiger prefer. And I want to put it to you all here, seated, listening to me, that in one way or the other, you have benefited, you are benefiting, and the country is still benefiting from the Asian tigers. We start with South Korea, right? The Samsung they are using today, Samsung and the likes, the K-pop popular music is from South Korea. They are leading in electronics and automobiles. They are leading in electronics and automobiles. But mind you, this was a country that faced a terrible crash. This was a country that faced a terrible load. They said that people laughed at them and said, oh, they can't fall back, they can't rebuild again. But Hong Kong said, instead of dwelling on resources, now that war has come, everything has scattered, let us be innovators. South Korea, innovator. Samsung is everywhere. Right? People use Samsung. Different devices. When we talk about Samsung, LG, television, refrigerator, and the likes, this country become the leading country in electronics and anything automobile. But when you date it back to 1977, when they faced that financial crisis, we could say, oh, such things as this will not be possible for it to come about. But it became possible. Why? Because they shifted their mindset from resources into innovation. And how was that possible? They built intellect. When you talk about innovation, innovation will not be possible until the people living in that country have a wide nature of intellect exposed to growth. Secondly, we look at Singapore. When you talk about Singapore today, people go to Singapore for vacations, right? A very safe nation, and Singapore today is referred to as the business hub, the most business-friendly environment in the world. Now, still date it back to 1977 when they faced that financial crisis. Would it have been possible today? Because, mind you, this development took place within the 1960s and the 1990s. Within 30 years, this development took place. Why? Because of innovation. Today we look at the Japanese, the Chinese. We say, the robotics that they built and all of that. How this person is doing, how are they doing this thing? How are they bringing about this level of development? This is one of the reasons. They dwelt so much on innovation. Careful research. We look at Taiwan. Anything related to global technology and supply chain, Taiwan is number one. And when you date it back to previous years, this same country suffered economic crisis. That is why sometimes when we look at our nation, Nigeria, when they say, oh, there's a recession, there is inflation, there is this, and there is that, it dwells down to the people. In a country of over 200 million persons, when we choose to build, we will build. Right? And when you look at the story of the Asian tigers, before we go to the fourth Asian tiger, I said the word tiger is not relative to the animal that we all know. Some of you were curious that, what is tiger doing here? But to the economy, the build-up of the economy. Because the story was, their history proves poverty is not mindset. By focusing on education and exports, look at that word, education. They all built intellect. These four tigers changed the map of the global economy forever. Majority of the things we are benefiting today, the imports and the exports, the digitals we use, the electronics, the automobiles, is a result of the history of the Asian tigers. I think I was working with, I think it was Dr. T yesterday along the road, and I think there's this car. I don't know if we have been familiar with this car. They call it Jetor, Jetour. It's everywhere now. It's everywhere, and it's aesthetically pleasing. It is affordable and very cool. Who is doing this thing? See, when you talk about technology, robotics, massive development, you talk about the Asian tigers. That is why if there's one thing you should take home tonight is the knowledge of the Asian tigers. Hong Kong, how many are they? How many Asian tigers did I mention? 4. We have what? Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, and Taiwan. Their economies, this country we are talking about that produced these things, right? Their economies were nothing to write them about. They were nothing to write them about. But they built to a massive level. Why? Because they dwelt on education. They were like, the only thing we have is our head. We'll sit down, we'll write, we'll discover, we build. And that is it. Right? Then in secondary school, there are sometimes that you'll be with some gadget and all of that. Somebody will tell you, this stuff you are using is one Chinese student in primary 5. All those kind of statements. Sometimes they appear like a fallacy. But then look at their history. Look at the way they learn. High-end practical. And not just a practical, high-end practical. Right? But the beautiful thing about this report is that not only their currency crashed, they were left with nothing, like totally nothing. Then the question will now be, how did they come up with all these discoveries, with all these massive innovations and creations? And we have talked about South Korea. South Korea gave us LG. There's this car we know, Hyundai, electronics, automobiles, right? Taiwan, anything global technology supply chain. Singapore, the most business-friendly environment in the world. That is why you hear some person say, oh, when it comes to high-level education, business knowledge, sometimes when you want to make some innovations, right, go and visit China and come back. I will date this back to my lecturer in first year, who always say, this is how he appeared in the class. We were in a philosophy class, philosophy and logic, year 1, on a Saturday class. He came to the class. He was like, economy students, how about you? He said, fine. He said, how many of you have gone overseas? Nobody raised up their hand. He said, yes. Before you die, go overseas, visit the world, then come back and die. That's the statement. I will never forget it. What's he trying to say? Go and see innovations. Go and explore. Then you know that, yes, at times we limit ourselves here. Right? We limit ourselves here. Even we limit ourselves here. Now we move to Hong Kong. Hong Kong adopts artificial intelligence, data analytics, smart manufacturing technologies to drive innovation, productivity, and global all over the world. When you mention Hong Kong, you mention fintech. You know, I was saying South Korea. Please let us listen. South Korea, we mentioned electronics and automobile. Hong Kong, you mentioned fintech, right? AI, robotics, and smart cities. How many of us have heard the word smart cities? When you hear smart city, what does it mean to you? Smart city, like a smart city. We actually have smart cities in Nigeria. Yeah, smart cities. How many of you have heard about smart cities? Okay, smart city. What can you pick from it? Cities. Okay, let us relate it now. Let us say, for instance, no, Osborne Estate Phase 2, right? When we say smart city, using this as a case study, for instance, these are cities that have high-end innovation and technology. Like everything involved with it, with the road, everything, whereby the road cities. No, not Lagos. Whereby the road can actually be a passage for normal cars, and as well can open for trains at the same time. This is innovation. So this is where Hong Kong. Go and visit Hong Kong, you will see robotics. Now, there's something I want you all to take from this. They call this the economic miracle. 30 good years, these 4 Asian countries, these 4 Asian tigers suffered. 30 good years. 30 good years. But they did not give up. They didn't. Right? They didn't give up at all. They didn't give up. And today, we are celebrating them. It's not like you just come out and celebrate them, oh, thank you for not giving up. But so long they are using their tools, what they produce is actually a celebration. Because it's bettered from innovation. Right? And to put this up, we look at their survival mode, from survival mode to being world class. Like I mentioned before, their history proves poverty is not mindset. They accepted that they are poor. Now I remember discussing this with a lecturer friend, like, oh, the Asian tigers, we have the Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, and Taiwan. They will look at India. And then I asked the question, like, sir, India, how many of you noticed that if there's any course or you need any knowledge relative to calculation, relative to just anything calculation, arithmetics, Indians are highly involved, 80% on YouTube, right? Even from the videos and the whole number of them. But looking at today, what happened with Indians, whereby they have this high-end knowledge, but yet sometimes India is still seen as a very poor country. Can anybody answer that? When you talk about Indians, it's so bad that some persons prefer to give an Indian a job because you believe that, oh, this person, you can overuse them and you pay them less, but they have the very good knowledge. But these are the Asian tigers who suffered. It was a terrible situation for them because there was practically nothing working in the country. And this was dated back to 1977. That means their growth was steady. Their growth was timed. Remember, I think on Monday when the dean was saying something about when you hit a stone, right? He said the last time you hit that stone and it broke into two was not because of the last touch, but because you have been hitting it since. And this is the same thing applicable to the Asian tigers.